big thanks to Perfect World for sponsoring this video. Today we're going to look at some of the games that have recently released on the Nintendo Switch to advise you whether you should buy, avoid, or wait for a sale. There's a couple in here that are a touch older, but I wanted to mention them anyway because I've been really enjoying them. So let's get into the list. Now, full disclosure, the best gamer in my house is my 6-year-old daughter, and she was playing Hoggy 2 when I walked into the room, and I'll be honest, I didn't know what it was. Upon questioning, it turns out she'd installed it after finding it in the dregs of my Nintendo Switch, and I'd honestly never heard of it before. You play as a small character in a very cutesy world whereby puzzles are within jars. You can enter the jars freely, solve a puzzle, and then leave. It has a simplistic gravity shifting mechanic which works surprisingly well, and I actually really enjoyed the game. It was a mobile game originally, ported to the Switch, but it's also surprisingly cheap at around about £4. If you're in the market for a simplistic platform game, I'd say at this price, or if you see it on sale, it's probably a buy. Refunct is our next title, and it's currently only £2.49, $2.99 or €2.99. If you remember back in the day the game Mirror's Edge, which was a parkour-based action game, this is like a stripped-down version of that, whereby you simply run, wall jump, and push switches throughout the world to gradually unlock more areas. The music is absolutely fantastic and develops as you unlock the level, but it was that movement that most appealed to me. With a simple tap, the R trigger, you can jump off of any surface, allowing you to wall jump between two close walls, climb up onto low ledges, and perform lovely jumps gracefully through the air. It just feels very free, and at this ridiculously low price, it's an absolutely definite yes for me. Another recent release is a game called Boreal Blade, which retails at £17.99, €19.99 or $19.99. And this is most akin to a game called Mountain Blade that was back on PC, and a game which I absolutely loved. You control a warrior and are pitted in multiplayer combat against 3 others in most cases. The main appeal here is the ability to change the direction with which you're attacking, and when you're blocking you can also do the same, and sometimes if blocking in the right direction, be able to cause the player to stagger. It's a very tactical based combat system. Much like a game like For Honor on PC, it requires a lot of player skill. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do if you do pick this one up is change those controls. You can actually control the character with a flick-based system, which is much like the mouse controls on Mountain Blade, allowing you to attack quickly from any direction rather than the initially clunky controls it defaults to. It is a very good game, but it's going to rely heavily on how many people are still playing it online. If you find it on sale, it's definitely one to consider picking up.
Perfect World recently published Torchlight II on the Nintendo Switch, developed by the fantastic people over at Panic Button, and this of course is a game that released way back in 2012 on the PC. Although this video is sponsored, we recently reviewed Torchlight 2 and gave it a glowing 86%, stating that it's an absolutely fantastic port of what was already a classic game. It's an action role-playing game where you can choose from 4 classes before taking yourself into dungeons and grinding for that all-important loot. What I love about the game most is the pet mechanic, complete with Switch exclusive Unicorn, whereby you can load up your pet and send them back to the town to get rid of anything you don't want, getting rid of the tedium of having to sort through copious amounts of loot and decide what you do want and what you don't. This really allows the game to flow. The game has been updated for consoles and has an impressive user interface system which assigns important actions to a button, and you have everything you need to progress in the game at your fingertips at all times. The game looks fantastic and runs very well on the Switch, and I experienced absolutely no slowdown during my time playing, and a further patch is being released this week to iron the game out further still, with skill points and stat points to assign to your character and build them any which way you want. You can really personalise your experience. This is and always was a fantastic game, and it's great to have it on the go on the Switch, and this would definitely be a buy from us.
Torchlight II, relive the glory. Now available on Nintendo Switch.
Next up is a game called Pumped BMX, which is going to be very familiar for people who play games like Trials Rising, except obviously you're on a BMX here and your bike is propelled via a pump mechanic. Yeah. If you've played any of the mobile games, I forget the names, whereby you hold the button down to get speed up, you have to release just at the top of a jump, but then you have to press the button again to bring you back down to earth. It plays out much like those, except there's quite an intricate trick system built in as well that has 3 separate tiers that can be switched with the L trigger. With 8 tricks available per tier, there's a good deal you can do here. As well as being able to grind and manual when landing, it's a far more complex title than it could have been, but controls well enough. The only real negative for me here is the slightly higher price, so I would say perhaps wait for a sale. I was really looking forward to playing Radiation City, which retails at £17.99, €19.99 or $19.99. I was hoping, probably against hope, that it might be something like Stalker, which was a game back on PC and an excellent representation of a post-nuclear apocalyptic world. However, here everything is just very clunky. Unfortunately, the controls feel like they were dipped in syrup, and the visuals themselves don't hold up, particularly in handheld, with some severe frame rate drops at times. Unfortunately, in the condition it's in, especially this far after launch, I'm thinking it's the way it's going to stay, and I would have to unfortunately say that you could avoid Radiation City. Now, there is some good gameplay to be had here, but as I say, in this state, it's not one I could recommend. The next title is The Forbidden Arts, which is an interesting mix of a side-scrolling platformer and an adventure game with an open-world area. I did enjoy this, it just didn't quite hit the mark in all areas. The platforming is quite simplistic and it doesn't do anything wrong, and having that open-world area is nice. There's just something I can't quite put my finger on, whereby some of it just feels a touch unfinished. Overall, I was quite impressed. I'd say it would probably be around about a 7 out of 10 kind of experience, and if you can find it on a deep sale and you're looking for something like this, then consider checking it out. Kiai Resonance is a one-hit fighting game. We've seen a few of these on the Nintendo Switch and they're generally priced quite well. This one is about £4 or $5, which seems about right. Just as mentioned, you face off against one-on-one opponents and a single hit will be able to kill them. Now, I personally didn't enjoy this as much as the game One Strike, which is also on Nintendo Switch and around about the same price. The controls just weren't as responsive and quick as that game, but again, is very cheaply priced, so it's worth considering. I would just say wait for a sale. As a huge fan of point-and-click adventure titles, I was really looking forward to Bear With Me when it was sent across, but unfortunately it took a lot of restraint to bear with this one. The characters are very flat indeed, and the voice acting is poor. They seem disinterested in the task at hand, and the lifeless staring eyes of the main protagonist don't do the game any favours. Overall for me, Bear With Me at only £4 or $5 is an unfortunate avoid.
Well, you sure slowed us down back there.
I'm shorter than you, goddammit. I can't walk as fast.
Well, maybe if you would pick up the pace a little, I wouldn't need to wait
Pick
on
up
you.
the pace.
It's
Not all about the
step
step-sized kid. I'm shorter and therefore have shorter steps. It's basic physics.
The last game from me today is called Race Die Run from our friends at Cubic Games. Now this is what I would describe as a tough as nails racing game, whereby when you touch anything, you die instantly. The main draw for me in a game like this is trying to beat those global high scores, and at the end of each round, you're shown exactly where you stand and given a rank from E to S. And chasing those S ranks is very compelling. The controls are super tight, and the frame rate runs at a smooth 60 at all times. The icing on the cake is a thumping, futuristic soundtrack that really ties the whole thing together. A great game, and I'm a bit disappointed it passed us by. I would recommend this as a buy, particularly if you own another Cubic Games title and can take advantage of their 50% discount. So that's the end of our list for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope there's some good games to bolster that backlog a little bit better, but I don't think it needs any help there. A big thank you to our patrons who support the channel every single month. Remember, we are always giving away free Nintendo Switch games, so yeah, make sure your notifications are on and hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed our content. For all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!